Alright, let's get started. Go ahead and grab Unity. There we go. And then I just gotta pull up the code and we will get going. There we go. Got everything pulled up. That's gonna be all the scripts I need for today, at least for now. Today we are finishing the status effects. This part, right here. That is the goal. Alright. So I've got this listed out here somewhere in my notes. Already created? I do not. I'm going to be using a list for this, I believe. And we're going to see how that works. Typically I use arrays, but something said this would be good. I don't know if that syntax is even correct. Alright. Yes, I did just click that. Alright. Okay. So this right here is going to be setting everything up with these. There should already be prefabs set up for this. Let me see. Yes, perfect. So we have all these prefabs, and then we'll be creating instances of them based on what we've got. So this is going to need to take some input, and that is going to be... Actually, it doesn't need to take any input. But we are going to have to set this up in a peculiar way. Because I got 4 status effects. I need to check and see if all 4 of them exist. since there's only 4, I'm just going to do that the simple way. What did I start off with? Blind? Yep, blind, poison, stun, camo. Perfect. So up here, right, we've got turns for each of these, right? So just go in here, blind, turns greater than 0. So we just repeat that for all of them. Hidden, right? Not camo? Why did I name it camo? So I named it camo here and hidden here. Nice. I'm sure that won't cause me any problems. Did I reference it anywhere else? No. Okay. I'm just gonna change that to hidden then. Naming conventions are very important. Status decrement, get status, there we go. Okay. So, the way that this works, okay, so this is just going to be adding them to the list that I created. Okay, that's not bad. Before we do any of this, though, we have to destroy all the ones that currently exist. Okay. That's not bad at all. So, it'll be my first time using a for each loop. Would you look at that? Okay. Yeah, because we have a list of game objects called active status effects, and then if I just do their status in oh yeah, that's a good point actually. Script. If blind status instance, yes. I'm just gonna do it the way I've been doing it. No reason to get all fancy with it. It's 4 things. I mean, it's not great, but then again, I have to check through all of them anyways, so I doubt there's much of a difference between a for loop and an if statement, so, you know. Now we're just going to take this, we're going to copy and paste it a few times. And we'll run through the list. reason, then stun, yep. Perfect. Alright. So the way that each of these is going to work, just go in here. So we are going to create instance. Then, yeah, see, these have the text component combined with it, which is exactly how we want it, right there. Then use, right? I don't have to create that each time. Yep, okay. Used text component of child to set the value. Alright. So we just grab this, and we toss it in there, and then we change it up. This naming convention. Yep, there we go. And then we want to do line text. Why does that feel, or why does that look different? Ah. I really could throw these into an array, but in all honesty, it's not even that bad to look at. Sometimes it's just nice to have the variables, especially on something like this where it's going on every single thing. It's just, the array doesn't add that much more to it. It would reduce the amount of variables that I have here, but it just, I would still need to have 3 different arrays, you know, one for text, one for the instances, and then one for the prefabs, so it just kind of, it's easier to read this way, you know. I believe it would be stun text. This is just what we use for the rest of them. But obviously, you know, change the name around. Of course, the only different one with that. And then of course, you know, I'll have to go through and change around these transforms once I figure it out. set status is called based on this right here. So what I'm gonna do before I forget is set it back to false. Yep, because it is set up correctly throughout all there. So that'll reset it properly. And actually, now that I think about it, I think, because I have this right here. Okay, and then that calls set status. Never mind, we're good. Otherwise, I was gonna have to write out a thing to call it whenever something hits 0, but this already has that handled by just doing it every time, because I guess I do have to do that anyways. Although, to reduce the amount of function calls, I will instead do... No, because that's a whole lot of if statements. I'll just let it do the function call, who cares? If it becomes an issue later on, I can restructure this whole thing anyways. I just need to get the code down right now. Okay, get status. That's gonna be the fun part. Okay. Do that. And then we will... We're not gonna initialize that in there. We're gonna initialize it up here because that's getting called a lot, like every time it gets hit. I have 4 of them. Pretty sure that's how you initialize an array. Did I even end up needing... Oh right, because I'm not done down here yet. Okay. So this whole thing here needs set up differently. So this is the part that creates them, right? And then they need to be moved into order, right? So the way this is gonna work is I will initialize a fun little variable. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. And then we go here, and we do status icon position. Let's just do 1, just for now, because I don't know what the actual amount is gonna have to be. And then, after the end of this, we need to set status icon position back equal to 0. And that is going to affect the X value. So, what we do here is we do that. And I believe that should work without errors, but in all honesty, it might throw an error. Let's see. Alright, that's promising. Oh, no. Error. Stun turns doesn't exist on line 250. Oh, because it's... Yeah. 274. Oh, yep. Because I did not finish that yet. Perfect. Yep, once I figure out the actual spacing, I'll just change that value, and we'll be all good. I do know for sure that this is going to be negative, though. And then this honestly might be 0. I feel like I remember the spray being pretty well balanced. While we wait on that, let's go on ahead and just check it, see how it's going. Alright, so if we do this, and then, how did I do this previously? Let's see. Right, because I believe, man, how did I do this previously? Okay, so whatever I grab is going to be at the same position as this when I set to this dot transform. So what I gotta do is I gotta grab this, I gotta set it to 0, 0 to start. So that's where it's gonna be created. And then Alright, because it's relative is the issue here. Right? I think it's relative? I think it is. I mean, if it's at 0, 0, it shouldn't matter. Oh, that is perfect that's how that lines up, though. Very nice. So that's too high? 124? 124 looks pretty clean. Okay. And then we can grab something like camo icon, I suppose. Set it higher. Wow, I guess the camouflage was really good. Oh, it got put on the Z line for some reason. Okay. This was negative 2.5? No? 2.4. Oh. Actually, that does not work for it. 2.3 does work. How does this look on 2.3? Looks fine. Alright. As long as that works for all of them, we should be good to go. At negative 0.23. Yep, that works. That's the wrong icon. Negative 0.23. I mean, it bleeds over a little bit. Probably just do 2.5 specifically for this guy. Yeah. Okay. So poison is 0.223. And then everything else gets to be on negative 0.23. Perfect. Okay. Now, as for spacing, those out of the way. Grab this. This fella is at negative 0.6. And then if we grab camo, we could do negative 0.0. like that's pretty reasonable. And then negative 0.2. Okay. Because then we got 1 at 0.6, 1 at 0.4, 1 at 0.2. So we grab negative 0.23 and 0. That looks pretty good to me. Poison one's a little unbalanced. So I would like to fix that at some point in the future. But other than that, that looks pretty good in my opinion. At least as good as it's going to get for now. Only takes up about half, which is good. The real question will be how the text ends up looking. But regardless, add 0.2 for each. Alright. And then from what I remember, oh right, that's just its whole on prefab. That's a bad one to take from. But this is an example. Because yep, I just grabbed the prefab and add a canvas. So let me go ahead and remake all 3 of these. By grabbing the canvas and copy, paste. Okay. Close up all of those for now. Start. And then let's grab this canvas. Okay, so that structures it directly onto that, which is a little bit unnecessary. Does it actually need the camera? No. Okay. Or at least none of the other ones have it, so. Making sure these numbers are mostly the same. Alright, forgot to fit with the scaling. That explains a lot. There we go. Alright, so now when we take a look at this canvas, we might need to add more than 0.2, but it all depends on how I want this to look, you know? Because we could do this, but that looks kind of ugly. We could always do to the left, but typically people don't do to the left. Typically people will do one of these, where it's a bit above it, a bit to the right. Imagine it's because we read to the right. Let's do a position 1 of x, and let's do 1.1. That lines up pretty nicely. Y position of 0.35. Works out well for me. Number-wise, that's probably as small as we can make it while still being readable. So not a whole lot to do there. Overall, I think I'm gonna go with that. so I can use it for the thing, the actual code. And then this is position. Oh wait, I'm on something else. Yeah. 0, 0, 1.1, 0.35, all good on that. Perfect. Let's try the same thing here. Set the position to 0. 0, 0, 0, 1. Now, it is kind of weird that the actual box is all the way over there. I'm sure I could find a better way to do that. Oh, you know what? If I center the text, it doesn't have to be all jank like that. At that point, I could honestly probably do 0.35. Yeah, how's that? That at least feels better. It's you know, it's actually on the thing that it's supposed to be on. It's crazy. And then ideally, I can just replicate this over to all of them. Yeah, I mean, if you look at that from the game scene, it's sitting there. Wow, those icons look terrible when zoomed in like that. Hope that issue doesn't go over to the game. Kinda get the feeling it will, but, you know. Canvas 0.35 on both. What did I do with the Z? 0. Yeah, I'm stunned right now. Okay. That. Just let me do this. And set the position to 0 to confirm that it works. Alright, this one, I feel like this one should be a little bit different. Let's do negative 0.01. I am on the text right now, so let's not touch that. Stun is gonna be... no, you really want that to be lined up. That's at least a bit better, right? It is slightly closer than the other... I may as well just leave it. Uniformity, you know? That way there it won't mess with the orders of anything. Confirm that the canvas is set up correctly. And the text. Perfect. 0, 0, 0. That explains it. Okay. And yeah, that lines up for all of them. So let's go ahead and put that into the code. Once we replace these prefabs, of course. Alright, I can delete that to make... Oh, I did not want to delete the name. I want to delete the actual thing. So, take it one by one. Delete blind. Drag in blind. Delete. these. Blind, poison, done, canna. Blind, poison, done, canna. Perfect. And just hide that for the sake of having one. Okay. So now we go over here. This. And instead of +1, we are adding 0.2 F, because we cannot forget to use F or float. Otherwise, everything will go horribly wrong. And the first one is -0.6. And then the y value is -0.23, except for poison, which is a special little fella. Now in theory, oh, we have an error. Cannot convert float. Oh. Alright, it's still upset. 237. What's your problem? It's because I set it as an int. Where is it? Huzzah. I'll be back in 1 second. should be the positioning for the status effects, I have one little edit to make in another script. Where is it? Red button. That is okay. Combat handler is in here. Here we are. Okay. So combat handler grabs the colliders, then calls the card pusher. Okay. Now ideally, we want attacks to happen, and then you'd want poison to hit, which then decreases it after it hits. So you want status effects to be applied immediately upon the card being hit, of course, but reduced at the end of combat. So the issue with that is that this is in every single unit. So I want the units to have their own things that they hold themselves. I could theoretically have managed every single unit's stats through a main script and not bothered with card stats at all. But that sounds horrible. And I would have to put a hard limit on the amount of cards the user could have, because I would have to initialize every single one of them individually, rather than setting it up like this. So, you need to be able to access this. Now the good news is, battle script should have in-play cards right there. And in-play cards is filled where? I read through my own code like I've never seen it before. It's part of the fun. I believe the last part it's used is here. And it gets turned into... Is in-play cards even used anymore? Okay, it's not. It's not used anymore. Who is calling get in play cards then? I'd imagine the only way that that's being called from something like that. Copy and paste this. No, okay, nothing is using it. That's neato. So I can ignore this. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this function. So I need a way to tell every single card, hey, the turn is over, you're free to go. Best way to do that is going to be when it attacks. But then again, Because like when the card attacks, right, the way that this is structured, battle script rips through every individual card, tells it, you know, you're attacking now, and gives it its target. So I could reduce status effects after attack, but then I have to worry about things that do multiple attacks. Which is why I set this up in the first place. Surely this doesn't have yeah, okay. The other thing is battle script has to have the cards. Like it has to. It's built into it somewhere. I just have to find where. Right here. Combat handler looks through all the points, grabs the player. So this top player, top enemy, bottom enemy arrays, that is the cards. Which means we can go to the end of attack hits, right here, right? This loops through everything, because what turn button does is it calls combat handler, which then calls this, and we're looking for the end of this right here, right? Which calls combat handler false because sometimes a card will be removed and therefore things need to be reshuffled. The reason it calls false is to tell it not to attack again. It then calls fight ender to check and see if it needs to end, right? Now, what we want to do is we want to go right here. Right, we want to do this before this is called, because this is used for the reshuffle, so we would have to, this has to be called afterwards, because if a card dies to poison, we would need to shuffle again, and I would rather not call this twice. I can if it becomes an issue where a card dies, but I'm not thinking it will be, given how fast this stuff happens, right? The code's not doing that much, you know. Yeah. Now the only concern here is if one of these gets destroyed. Which is why we just check if it's null. And that resolves that issue. So, yes, now I do top player I dot get component card stats, and we just call status decorant. I believe that's all there is to it. Yep. Then we grab this. If I can spell. And that is that for that. Now we put it in again here. We do top enemy. And that should be that. Only difference being that card stats needs to be enemy stats 0 because I did a terrible job with the naming on that. There we go. can save, I need to do all of this for the enemy cards. Because they have none of it. They have their health change and their get standard attack. That's very cool. Yeah. Oh, I still need to... Alright, there's a lot that I need to do to this script. One of the first being that I need to remove defense mult, set this to attack change. Pretty much just need to do everything that I did for here, over there. Let me make sure that this is all complete. No, I need to do get status first. Okay. Let's see what I've been doing this whole time. Blind, poison, stun, hidden. Okay. Status array. Perfect. Perfect. So then, as I said, we take this and we put it all over on the enemy side. Which means there's a lot of changes that need to be made here. So I am gonna just drag that over there. I know you can't see it at the moment, but just copying and pasting essentially. You're looking at enemy, right? Yes. Okay. Just making sure you're actually able to see the one I'm working on. It'd be a shame if you couldn't. Yep. That's all good. Special stats. Remove that. Hack change, damage taken. Okay. Now is when we grab all of this. Did I even use the list? I don't think I did. Yeah, there's absolutely no point where I even used that list. Cool. Should be able to just grab this in theory. Copy and paste it all over. Because all of these will be the exact same thing for the enemy. And then, for the sake of it not looking terrible, I'm moving the comment up here. Yeah. Alright. Stat setup. I still need to do that. Haven't touched this file in a while. It really makes me wish I had just... Honestly, what's stopping me from just using the same one? Now that I think about it. Genuinely, what is stopping me from just using this file on the enemy cards? I think nothing. I mean, the only thing I would have to... I mean, there's items and abilities, but I can give the enemies items and abilities. That's not an issue. Or I can just set it to 0 for all of them. Yeah, you know what? Sake of simplicity, we are making a major change to the way things are set up. So, what I have to do now is I have to go and I have to look through enemy stats 0. 0. And I have to change all of them to card stats. Okay. And then check again here. Change all of them to card stats. And then we pray that everything works. Immediate error. Okay. A lot of errors. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The good news is that they're like all... Ooh. Oh, right, I forgot to change something. Oopsies. Make sure none of the other ones are named weird. Alright, so I need to change E stat setup and E health change. So let's do E stat. How is it spelled? Yep, E stat. Okay, not used here. E stat setup needs to become hard stat setup. I also just realized the music might be a bit loud. It's actually not that bad, alright. Turn it down a small amount to my usual. Okay. Hard stat setup. Okay. And then E health change. Okay. E health change needs to just become health change. Now, ideally, we shouldn't have any horrible issues, but of course we still do. Many of which are in here. I'm gonna do this cool, funny little trick where I turn the entire file into... How's that work? Ah, very funny, very funny. Or just turn the entire file into a comment. Except for, of course, the final thing right there. Oh. Ah, I missed a file. And actually, the good news is I don't even need this anymore. Because I don't need to check what kind it is. So I should just be able to do target dot get component. And then comment this out. Okay. Right. So now we have to go in here and match player spawning. This looks horrible, by the way. I really gotta say that. Then again, it's not much better than the player side. So the issue here is that I have listed nothing for buffs. Now the way that we are going to resolve this, why does card stat setup not have one? Come on. Okay. So we'll do health, mana, melee damage, range damage, fire, ice, electric, special, and buffs. And we'll take this over here so that we can look at it. So we have health, mana, and then this is special. So now we need to add buffs. Now, of course, when we do the player away, how many buffs do we have? Do we genuinely only have one buff? No, we have two buffs. Okay. 0 and 1. Lovely. This, of course, is temporary. I will have proper enemy stats set up so that it doesn't look like this. But for now, this is the way it looks. For players, what did I do for that? Should just be 0 for both. In theory, if I just go ahead and grab this, put it on all three of them, save. Okay. And we just have some errors here. At line 510 and beyond. That's not a good sign. I'm just in the wrong script, thank goodness. Okay, what's wrong with it? Oh. I am a silly little guy who forgot the dot length on the end of it. A silly little guy. Ain't that incredible? Alright, now as long as everything works here when we run it, we should be good to go. Knock on wood. Uh-oh. Okay. Object you want to instantiate is null, and I know why. Luckily. So, the part that we are missing here, do this real quick. And then grab that error again. Object you want to instantiate is null. Yeah. Yeah. So if we take a look-see at card stats here, right? This whole thing is essentially a prefab, right? Take a look. Yeah. whole thing's a prefab. And that's a problem for me, because the enemy setup is not currently a prefab. So guess what we're gonna do now? We're gonna make it a prefab. Yippee! Let's go to our normal scene. Cards. Style. Great. Right here. Set that to cards. Cards. Actually, you know what? Let's do it. I can't even do it that way. Okay. So, what I will do here is I will grab this whole thing. All of the enemies will just do melee for now, I guess. Wow, this is gonna look way better here in a second. So, I'm going to essentially just rewrite this from scratch. If I take a look-see up here, yep, I initiated it up there. Yeah, just for the fun of it, we'll have that too. So now, we can go here. And that means I need to create that up here. Yeah, I will need both. There's that. I'm just gonna say that this is a melee unit, and then we'll go further down, do our little there, and call this. Can I even do that? Is that not allowed? I mean, luckily it's already set up for enemies to have multiple, so it wouldn't matter. It should be fine. I don't know why it wouldn't be. If not, I just have to change the number, so it's fine. Wow, this really is so much quicker than what I was doing before. Wait, I don't think they rely on battle card hand vectors. What do they rely on? Alright, they're all hard set. Okay, so... forgot about that. that's when we grab this. Yep. Alright, that should be it for that one. And these all have the exact same stats. So I'm just gonna take this and change that to what they use 1 and 5. Go. 1 and 5. This thing. I'm not missing anything, right? Nope. The only thing I am missing is this line here. This is clearly important. How important? I don't know, but it clearly is. And then we take that and we turn this whole thing into that. Right, because I had position 5, position 1, and position 0, 5, 1, 0. Perfect. What errors are we going to throw? Unexpected character, 851. What's up? Oh, that would do it. Okay, lovely. Now I just need to define what these prefabs are. And the way to do that is that we go back to our other scene where we can actually access that file. See right here. Prefabs. And then what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to grab this prefab. Actually, I feel like using the melee one for some reason. Yep, this fella right here. And then we're going to do something absolutely wild with it. Okay, you ready for this? You're going to change the name. And we are going to change the sprite. And that's it. We're going to change the name and we're going to change the sprite. And we're going to go back in here and we are going to original prefab. And there we go. That's that. And then actually now that I think about it, this should probably be the melee one. Just makes more sense. So I can go back in here, delete that. I can drag this in. Perfect. Now we can grab this, drag this into it, go back over here, rename it. Lovely. Wait, what happened to the... Oh, right there. Alright. And then, yeah, that should be our prefabs. So, melee and ranged. Save the whole thing for the fun of it. And we're going to hit run and hope for the best. Shocking. It worked. Genuinely shocking. Good. Of course, there would be an error. Line 514 right here. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. See, that's crazy, because, I checked to make sure it wasn't null. Wild. Wild how that works. How you can put in a... Ah, because I'm an idiot. Never mind. I'm just a little bit silly. I forgot another thing. I wonder how many... I've made that mistake quite a few times, haven't I? Not in this stream, of course, but overall when making this game, I've made that mistake so many times where I forgot the iteration variable. It's a fun mistake. Incredible. Oh, and look at that, they even have their own health. Looks impossible to see though for some reason. And I'm not surprised about it being hard to read, but where's the heart at? Where are you hiding that? Oh, that's why. Because this heart is actually part of the sprite. I forgot about that. That makes sense. But hey, I can actually see their health go down. Ideally. At least. Oh. Well, I guess that one's lost to the... You know, we have some occasional issues. Typically never that bad. I'm not entirely sure what's wrong with my clicking and dragging thing, to be perfectly honest. Also, the health of the enemies does not appear to be going down. Or maybe it is. We good? Okay, that one's lost to the void. Did we run out of turns or something? I mean, that killed it. Okay, so spells are dealing damage, but they are not. Why are the cards not dealing damage? Please, sir, why are the cards not dealing damage? Could I get a bit of damage, sir? See, the funny thing about this is that the spell stats are working, yet the cards are not. Target.get component card stats. Yep. Damage calculator, spell effect array. Sends the array to the damage calculator. Then it works as intended. There's no checks in here to see if it's a friendly or an enemy, it just takes the damage directly as it's been sent. So it should be all good. But yes, the funny thing is, you know, the spells are working entirely as intended, but none of the units are. Quite odd, really. That drops it from 15 to 11. This guy drops from... Okay, well that's illegible. This guy drops from 14 to 11. Right, 14 to 11 on that, right? But... Okay, well the spells aren't working now. Fun. Okay. a new one. And I'm going to stretch for a bit while I think about it. So I will be right back. Alright, so good news. I still don't know what the fuck is wrong with it. It's not good news. We're gonna look through this code now, and we're gonna figure out what's wrong with it. However we need to. Now, there we go. Given that everything was working fine up until we changed this, it's not gonna be something in card stats. I really don't think it is. I don't believe there's anything in here that even checks to see if it came from an enemy. I really don't. Like, that's it. It's just electric stuff. There's nothing in here that references enemies. There's nothing in here that references E-card, E-attack, none of that, right? So I don't think it's in here. Obviously, it's not in here. So it's gonna be something in one of these, most likely battle script. Now, on here, right, you can see we are sending this to it. My concern is this, right? So what I'm gonna do here is at the end of this, I'm gonna have a for loop. This is just gonna be the start of our checks to figure out what's going wrong with it. Maybe we shouldn't do it here. Maybe we should actually go to the function itself. So, wait, you really doing it that way? That's crazy. All right. Int party, just to make sure that it's not gonna affect anything. Now we can set up that loop. Okay. That's how you do statements. Think so. Yeah, I was gonna say, there's definitely an error there. Oh, it was a game object one. My apologies. How did I not realize that? Alright, let's do this. I forgot to check if it's null. Yep, alright. Okay. Still an error. The variable in play enemies of battle script has not been assigned. Wild. Okay, that's interesting. And to be honest, it explains a lot. So let's see everywhere that in-play enemies is used, preferably not in comments. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna delete this whole thing here real quick, because I've been meaning to for a while. Boop. Okay, so it's initialized, it's returned, and it is used nowhere. So that's a very pointless line. So then the question becomes, how are we filling this, right? Taking a for loop, creating a collider, checking the position for things on the card layer. That would certainly be a way for me to mess it up. As we can see though, it is on the cards layer. Nothing has been changed about that. This is a neat one, that's for sure. If nothing changed about this, we're just checking for cards and setting that like that. So what we will do is we will throw down debug statement. Actually, we're going to make this a little more descriptive. And we're going to head over here. And just full on remove this line. Once again, I am a silly little guy. That forgot the iterative variable. Okay, that's a good sign. Feels a little weird. Why is it printing so many? Oh, it's just because I attacked so many times? Alright, let's see this. Yeah, no, that's weird. Like, it ends with unit health is now at. That found 4. Okay, that found 4 units. That's not normal. And they were all listed as being on the top. What is going on with this thing? Let's find out. So, position EH right here, right? Those are set earlier on. They're set up here. Okay. So our guys should be in 0, 1, and 5. Okay. So 0 has 1, 1 has 1, 5 has 1. The rest of these are empty. Now, we'll get around to deleting that at some point. What's important here is that we have 1, 2, 3 enemy cards. And that is what is strange. Because how did we find 4 enemy cards all on the top when there are 2 on the top, and I can confirm that they are in the right position? Quite intriguing. And even still, how are none of them being hit? You know? I mean, the good news is the number of enemies being found is staying the same. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I guess, a good question here would be, you know, obviously the spells are working. So did that change the number of enemies being found? It did not. So these are each being found twice, and the bottom one is being found no times. Let's try destroying a top card. Oh. There's all that. Wait a minute. Where are they getting shuffled around? Right here? Is this why? Hold on a second. As you remember, right, this is combat handler, which calls active card pusher, which does nothing. But when you attack, it calls attack hits, which ends with calling combat handler. So we are finding the correct number of cards, but we are not finding the bottom card. Which is strange. Out for now. We'll figure it out. That's not normal. Hopefully we're good. Let me check something. I know I pulled directly from this. Let's see. Okay, so for starters, we have to remove this. Oh no. Oh shit, I just took that away from that. Copy. Shit. Click and drag. There we go. Stats is need 0, 0. Okay. I have to remove it from these two. Now let's see, is there anything else we shouldn't have? No, I believe that's it. Oh, let's try this. There's all our unit health. That was a lag spike for seemingly no reason. Okay. I'm going to hit this guy to confirm that health is working on him for that. Okay. There were no bottom cards found. However, this guy did take a little bit of damage. I really don't know what's up with click and drag. It has been an issue since genuinely the very start of developing this game. There is something just horribly wrong with the way that click and drag is set up, where cards will just randomly not work. I don't understand it. I don't, I don't understand it at all. It even carried over to this one because it was copy and pasted. I have absolutely not the slightest clue what is wrong with my click and drag script. But it has always been one of those issues that's just off to the side. Like, obviously it'll have to be fixed, but I don't even know where to begin with it. gaming, we're just not finding that bottom card. That's crazy. Alright, I'm gonna do something a little different. We're gonna see wait, the I-5 actually shouldn't matter. That's just for the array. Alright. Luckily those warnings didn't show up again. Okay. So I ran through 5, 6, 7, and 8. That feels weird. Right, because I mean, I get it starts 5, but to only run through 4 is odd. Let me see here. What are you? 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're already missing that one. That's neato. And that is card holder 5. Are we missing 4 as well? No, because I did that one correctly. Okay. This needs to be set to 10. Okay. So this hit works exactly the same way as everything else. I'd like to make that very clear. Oh, I wonder if that's what was causing that issue. Definite possibility. Alright. Anyways. This hit works the exact same way as all of the other ones. But sometimes Unity has little problems. Okay. We're gonna save this, see if it magically fixes it. When it does not, I will delete that section of code and rewrite it, because Unity likes that. I think it genuinely just convinced it. Okay, well, that fixed it for some reason. I have no idea why, but it did. Damage is still not being a thing, but we can work through that. We at least solved the first issue. Oh, that's why. Because that's I number 9. Yeah, okay. That was the whole issue with not finding it. But that still leaves the issue of them not taking damage. In fact, neither of them are taking damage. And that's certainly a problem. What's up with this? Oh, it's for shuffling. Hacks. Honestly, I'm not too worried about these issues. Mainly just because this is the second to last bit of the combat, genuinely. After this has been resolved, all I have left to do is add items and abilities, which will use just a modified version of the status effect code, and really should be done in one stream, not counting the art. So I'm really not all too worried about that. And then that's all the combat. Like, at least functionality wise, that is all of the base combat at the moment. I may add more in the future, but we'll see. there is a lot going on under the hood, obviously. You know, you've seen me scrolling through the code. So yeah, this is the second to last feature for the combat. Once this is done, it's just the items and abilities. And then I will work on, it's flashed up on the screen a few times, the map. I actually have actually all of the map code done, at least for its current state. So I just have to add a little bit extra function to it, which is just being able to click the icons. That's it. And then I have to set up the enemy presets. So really not that bad. Did I just like accidentally mess something up over here? You know, that's all I can think of at this point. Because I mean, this is operating exactly the way that it's supposed to, which is nice and all. So I just, you know, there's gotta be something in here. Like, at the very least, one. Like, it's so weird for both of them to stop taking damage. You know, that's what really is getting to me here. And the weirdest part is I'm getting, you know, the health change messages. Those aren't going anywhere. Like, if I click on this, one of them had their health changed. The question is, which unit? And the answer is none of them. Especially considering... Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I don't even know who it's pretending to hit. Because those are all displaying 10 because they only have 10 health. And... like, there's 18, there's 15. And I don't know where it's pulling these numbers from. Genuinely, I don't know. But like, they all just seem to be their new health from when they're spawned. And then of course, if I actually hit one with the spells, it hits it. So I really don't know what's going on there. Yeah. Because this, you know, nothing changed here. And nothing changed here. So my only thought is that there is something in here, you know? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. What we can do is, it is an array. I love that. Actually, if we only work with the top cards, it shouldn't be too bad. Wait, what? Hold on. What damage type do these guys do? Melee. They are all melee. Okay. Jeez. Okay, so given that they're all melee, we gotta go down to the melee attack. Okay. And then they don't do any other kinds of damage. Like, you can look at this, they don't do anything. Because those are just the special stats, right? Special and buff. And those special stats aren't anything crazy. In fact, the special stats are just stun, blind, hidden as the first three, which is why they're all 0. And then it's ranged, melee, fire, ice, electric, and poison. Which is why it's all 1, because those are resistances. That's what the special stats are. And a resistance of 1 does nothing. So it's not that, right? 1 is normal, it does nothing. Because when it gets multiplied against it, it just multiplies by 1. So it can't be anything in here. So I'm not entirely sure what's wrong with it. But I will figure it out. Because all of this is set up correctly. Or at least it should be. Right, I should be able to save both of these without any issues. Okay, what is this though? I think that's just because I saved while it was in there. So, there has to be an issue in battle script. So, we're gonna find out what it is. We'll bring this out while we're at it. We will figure this out. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Not do whatever that was. It's always very concerning when I accidentally highlight the entire script. Let's see if this works. Okay, so what is printing unit health? It just here from it setting up. Yes. Okay. So when I grab this will allow me to see if anything is being damaged. Also, we only did that for melee damage. Okay. So, top player melee damage 0. Top enemy melee damage 0. Top enemy melee damage 0. That's weird. And the reason why that is weird is that if we go and we look at this, right? Oh, that's why. The enemies don't have mana. They don't have everything that the player does. So if we look at this, right? If I have one over here, okay. Or maybe it is set up correctly. But it's weird. We have health, mana, melee damage, range damage, fire, ice, electric. Yeah, fire, ice, electric, and then specials. Let's try changing these around. Let's just try it this way, just to see if it displays. So that read all of them as 3, including the player. And that's not good. Very not good. And I don't know why it did that. Because, yeah, that's weird. Obviously, we're having no trouble locating the objects because they were able to locate the objects perfectly fine based on their previous debug statements. And, yeah, that's a weird one. Because we're locating them. They're in there. But then it thinks that the melee damage is 0. And that's not normal. So that's damage total 8. And damage total is obtained by calling get standard attack. As we can see here, get standard attack, that's 8 as melee damage times attack change. Attack change is equal to buffs 1, which is the second line of buffs. Attack change exists right here and is set to 0 by default. It should be set to 1 by default, but it is it's private like everything else, and it is initialized via buffs 1, which is the last thing there, right? So if we look here, that's certainly a problem for the enemies. And then the players likely have a similar issue, where it is being done by the second point, by unit buff stats array, which is unit int array 20 out of 21. So unit int array j of value comes from unit num array, which is pulled from player unit deck in unit deck index. So player unit and the 20th, aka second to last number, which is 0 for everyone. As I made that change previously when this was going to work a bit differently. And actually it is supposed to remain 0. And I realized that it is actually a different change that caused this problem. The issue is not... So the issue is not that I forgot to change this. This was very much intentional. The issue that I forgot to change was turning this multiplier into a plus, because we no longer multiply, because multiplying creates decimals that we do not want to display. So we use the plus sign, which will now mean that it does plus 0 instead of times 0. We should have no issues now. Everything is working once again as intended. We can go through and remove these debug statements. That honestly wasn't too bad in terms of debugging. Sometimes it takes a lot longer than that. But it was just a simple little mistake. And of course, as always, my initial assumption about the error was wrong. I was very, very convinced that the issue would not be in card stats, so it had to be in card stats. That is just the nature of debugging. Always going to be that way. But now that this is up and running, well, it's working. We're dealing damage. But apparently not. What's up with this? Line 385. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. How's that possible? I'm going to imagine that... because this pops up every once in a while. Just every once in a while. Like a random thing. Oh, you know what? I know, I think I know. So, in card stats, when a card dies, right? We just destroy the game object, right? We don't do anything special with it, we just destroy it. And BattleScript here relies on this bottom enemy, right? And bottom enemy is fulfilled up here, right? So this only happens each time combat handler is called. And there's a very good reason for this, right? This is not a light bit of code, right? It's light by modern computer standards. It's not that big of an issue. but I don't want to call it every frame. And I will demonstrate why. I don't know if this will actually affect my computer, but we'll see. Maybe it's not that bad. I mean, I'm currently using a maximum of 15% of an 11th gen i5, and it's sitting at about 12%, and that's while streaming. Right, there's a lot open in the background right now. Alright, never mind, we still have the issue. That doesn't even fix it. Cool. Alright, what's the issue? 365. Yep, same thing. Oh boy. How often is this going to be an issue? Is a much better question. Alright, like, am I just getting unlucky here? Or is this a serious problem? I'm just getting unlucky, okay. Well, here's the thing, as long as, I want to try to actually get the issue again. Because, well, the goal here is to recreate that issue so that I can see whether or not it's an error that ends the game. And it doesn't, I don't think it was. If it is, I just have to add an error catch. Because in all honesty, yeah, there's gonna be clearly, even when putting it in update, there's gonna be possibility of it just going wrong. Just kind of the nature of how that's set up, I think. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna recheck for enemies on every single hit. I mean, it's already labeled as null, right? So, if I get that again, and it truly is an error that stops the game, I will just add an error catch and just tell it to continue the loop, and that'll solve the entire problem. So, not really very concerned on that end. But I will be back here very shortly. I think, honestly, I feel like that was a good amount of game dev for the day. Yeah, I mean, that was really all I had planned, because I need to create the ability and item icons. So, one moment. making some notes to say what I completed this time around. What else was on my list to do? productive day, I have to say. Yeah, that really, that was not bad at all. So, as I spoke about earlier, my next and final task for the combat, it's a kind of hefty one. It's a full stream all on its own, to be honest. I have to draw icons, and you have to draw icons, turn them into prefabs, and yeah, it's a whole thing, because I gotta draw them, I gotta turn them into prefabs, I gotta set up the code for them. They're gonna need their own special script, and to be perfectly honest, I need to do some more drafting for them. And honestly, the way I do drafting is I just kind of chill and think, right? Like, sometimes I'll sit down and like actively come up with things based on references and other things that I like, but for the most part it seems to go well when I just let them float into my brain by doing something else. So let's play some games for a little while. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the BRB screen while I set things up, and then I'll be back shortly. Okay, so it looks like the game that I was planning to play actually needs quite a hefty update. So I did not intend to do this, but I am actually just gonna go ahead and call it here. Gonna go look for some inspiration elsewhere. And yeah, so, thank you to anyone that tuned in, but that's gonna be the end of the stream.